Good afternoon, everybody. Lisa Ware, Senior Group Leader. It's the 4:30 Yessave coaching time. Today, we're going to be talking about something which is all about help behind the scenes, things that can influence and get you possibly a partner that otherwise you wouldn't be able to get. But first of all, what I want to do is show you some basics of when you sign up customers, things that can streamline your business and help you, because I know there's an awful lot of things that people don't know about and perhaps they should know about. So I'm going to share my screen, and any moment now you should see the dashboard of my partner portal. Everyone's is quite similar. All right, they're just all got different parts to it. What I want to show you is under the section, and I suggest you write these notes down, of my business. And then I want to show you customer order status, because not everybody seems to know about this. Just wait a moment, because mine's always rather large. Okay, so there will be lots of things happening. Now, some of you might be wondering, what are these? So I'm going to start to explain what's going on here. So these people here are invariably, they're either referrals that have come through a customer that's given their referral link via their Clubhouse app, and you've gained a customer, or what they are new customers that have created because an old customer moved out of the property, and these are the people that have taken over. So in fact, that's why it just says application. You'll notice those first three are all in the 9s. And my immediate, because I can recognize some of these postcodes, these are people that have moved into property. So my customers have moved on, and I've gained customers purely because of the fact that my customer I signed up lived in that property. And how great is that? So now there are new customers that I will earn commissions off that I've had nothing to do with at all. Now, sadly, what we're not allowed to have are their contact details. No telephone numbers, no emails, and that's because of GDPR and all the data protection. However, if you're pretty diligent, what you should have on your own systems, and everybody I sign up, they go into my contacts, and that is that I would have their contact details of the customer that I had, and I would possibly have the landline number, so I could possibly have a contact number. Now, you've got to be very careful because you're not allowed to go against GDPR, but what you can do, which is totally compliant, is you can contact the existing customer that's moved on, and you can say to them, oh, did so-and-so and so-and-so move in? And if they say yes, do you have any details for them? Or would you like to pass my details to them and you could get in contact with them? Now, why do I bother to say that? For me, not particularly because I want another customer, because what will be there is energy only. It could be gas and electric or electric. It could be to upsell, but more importantly, these are people that don't realise that Utility Warehouse offers an opportunity that you can earn a lot of money. And that's why I'm always keen to be in contact. Now, I want to show you a further one down. I've got to be ever so mindful of GDPR, so folks, forgive me, but I'm going to hide the gentleman's name and details, all right, because of GDPR. So I'm now going to show you one that I signed up last month, and what we had was 2 unlimited mobiles. Now, when you get a green tick, when you get a green circle with a tick, that means that the service has gone live and it's being used. Now, originally, there would have been different numbers here because of the fact that they had mobile numbers that they wished to transfer in to keep their existing number and replace the new utility warehouse number. And that number there is now their existing number that they always wanted. It's replaced. So at one point there was actually 4 entries, because there were 2 that would have been UW numbers that were replaced. The gas electric is now one of the simplest things out, because it generally is transferred within 5 days. And when you see yellow, which I'll show you in a moment, when you see yellow, that's when it's sort of in progress and or processing. I'll show you that. Now, what's handy for you to see is that there was a red with a cross in it. Now, for many people, that would and should send a little bit of alarm, not necessarily that it's all gone wrong, but something for you to follow up as and to find out and to phone a friend. And that's on 0333 777 8777. Now, this gentleman here was, this is going to be an interesting one for all of you. And I'm going to be sharing this because this is the chap that I'm going to talk about in regards to helping a customer, which helps you. Okay. So the gentleman and his wife had fibre to the premises with a digital phone number. Okay, a digital phone number known as VoIP, Voice over Internet Protocol. Now, when I put the order in, he obviously wanted to keep his number, but I want you to know, ladies and gentlemen, we cannot at this moment in time transfer digital phone numbers. But given through my questioning when I was with him, given the kind of gentleman that he is and what he's doing, there was no way he needed 100 meg plus broadband. He had it because in March last year, Openreach went down his road and installed fibre to the premises. And what he told me, and I know this from another house that I've done down that road, what he told me was that they came along and basically said, you've got no choice, mate. You've got to have it. And this is part of the government's agenda that by 2025, what we know as analog lines, our telephone lines, will be obsolete. They're going to be cut off. So all those dear elderly people that desperately want to keep their numbers are in for a real shock. A bit like when the government said to them that you've now got to have your pensions, your state pensions paid into a bank account. You can no longer go and collect it from the post office. This is a similar scenario. So in fact, I find it that I am more of a message giver to people and informing them of what's coming. And if fibre to the premises is available for them to have it. But in this case, this gentleman wanted his number. So I said to him, you can have Ultra Plus. And he was going to receive minimum speeds of 58 megabits, more than sufficient for his needs, with an upload of at least 17. He could do everything, absolutely everything with that. So I made the decision with him that he was going to have Ultra. It meant he could keep his number because it could go back onto analog, but he understands that by 2025, that may have to change. Okay. Now, he's not running a business from home or anything of the kind, but there's a lot of the elderly generation just feel it's a lifeline to have a landline phone. And I understand. I think it's quite hard for them. So what happened, this naturally went cancelled, but it didn't, because I want you to look up on the 19th of April, the service went live. Openreach did have to go back and do some work, but he's over the moon because he's retained his number and he's still got fibre broadband. So, ladies and gentlemen, hopefully that explains a bit to you. Now, that's important thing for you to see. This one here, and this one, and these, in fact, there's quite a lot of them. It's our company, UW, following through and reinstating services, mobile services for existing customers. All right. This one has been done and it's activated. Notice it's yellow with an exclamation mark. It's not yet being used. So I would say that's one for me to follow up on. Okay. So there's a good bit there for you to see. We've got yellow, which is follow up, look at. That's one to definitely ring through. Now, this gentleman and wife, I want to show you something now. And forgive me a moment, but I'm going to bring in another share. So bear with me while I do it. Okay. New share. I want to share something else with you all, actually. I want you to know that a couple of years ago, when all this Zoom stuff happened, I had to seek the help of a QD local to me to help me use Zoom, because I realised if I was going to get through that whole period that they called lockdown and we couldn't go out and see people, I needed to learn how to do this. So I want you to know, even though I'm a senior group leader, sometimes we have to seek help. Now, what I want you to see here, this is one of about 6 pages of a BT email that this gentleman that I went to see and signed up, and I did warn him that he would receive an email. Now, this email, basically, it's stunning. So it gives the number affected. Don't you love the language? Number affected, which sounds like everything's going to go wrong. And it says that they must call before 2 p.m. on the 17th of April, and that if we don't hear from you, your services will automatically move on the 19th, which you've just seen in my customer order status happened. But I want to share with you this. As you're still within the minimum term of your contract, you'll have to pay any remaining contract charges, and they're expected to be £620.23. Right, I'm going to stop the share, and I'm going to talk to you all. Because I know many of you would have said, oh no, this is never going to work. I know it will work because I've done loads of them. So we already had £17 on one mobile, early termination fee. We had 190 on another mobile, early termination fee. And he was deeply concerned about this money. And I said to him, Michael, please don't worry. You've got £400 in the kitty. Some of it is going to be used for your mobiles, quite rightly. But I'm going to tell you now, Michael, you are not going to pay 620 odd pounds, because we're going to ask BT for proof of when the contract happened. Now, my gut instinct was when they came down the road and they fitted fibre to the premises, they did it all and they naturally put him back into a contract. He searched his emails, he never got rid of anything, and there was nothing to the effect that he was in a contract. And he'd been with them, as you would imagine, since the year dot. Okay. So I said to him, my gut instinct is it was when they did the fibre to the premises. You will get an email and it will say the amount. When you get that email, just call me. All right. So I want you to bear that in mind. This was all on this first appointment. The other thing I said, please make notes to this because you need this stuff. This is where you get skilled. I also said to him, be mindful that you are going to get phone calls, even maybe in the next few hours, from Vodafone and O2, your current mobile suppliers, who are now going to offer you everything they've never offered you before. You are going to become their very best customers. And they're going to offer you prices they've never offered you before, just because you are going, you're leaving them. And I said to him, and note the words, Michael, can I ask you, what do you think of a company that only offers reduced prices, loyalty, I went, when you leave them? Would you say that that was loyalty? And he went, no, it's not. Could somebody mute? There's a lot of noise I can hear in the background, please. Could you all mute yourself? I think it's somebody called Paul's iPhone, probably. So he said to me, no, I don't think it's loyalty. There's still somebody else. Lindsay, can you mute yourself? Sorry. It's just that I can hear all this stuff. Sorry. So he said, no, I don't think it's loyalty. And I said, well, be mindful that they are going to offer you reduced prices. But remember, Michael, your everyday spending with your cashback card is probably going to eliminate the cost of your 2 mobiles. Unlimited for £32, I think it is now. And he said, oh, and by the way, there was no saving on the mobiles. What he was getting was exactly the same as what I was giving. I want you to bear that in mind. But he understood that I spoke about the package. And the prime reason he wanted to switch was because he wanted simplicity, because he was humble enough to admit to me that he was starting to get very forgetful. And it was getting harder and harder. And he loved the idea of one bill, and this was going to simplify things. Now, I'm also going to share with you, this particular couple came to me in an extraordinary fashion. They were effectively referrals from his son-in-law that I signed up 5 years ago. But just over a year ago, I signed up a neighbour 3 doors down. Now, over 5 years, his son-in-law has been saying, Dad, you really should go to UW. The neighbour has been saying on a couple of occasions, you really, Michael, should go to UW. And then finally, what tipped the balance, this is so funny, was when I turned up, he showed me the Saturday Times magazine double-page spread of UW. Now, I want you to bear this in mind, because my background is business-to-business advertising, leaflet distribution. And one of the things I know is people very rarely like change. They often have to hear things quite a few times before they'll make that move. And that's just the way it is. So if all you people, if you put out a flyer and you're expecting some calls, you're in for a shock. They won't happen. And in fact, on one of the teams, I've just been saying that you have to follow up, because people just, it's probably straight in the recycling bin for most. Okay, that's just the way it is. Same as when we run 20k giveaways, when people come up to us, the best people that respond are often people that have said to us, oh yes, my friend's got that. Oh, my sister's got that. Oh, I have heard about that. Because they need that jolt, because their brains are lazy, most people, and they need something that jolts. In fact, what they're looking for is validation. They're looking for something that says, oh, this is a good decision I could make. Now, it gets even worse with Michael, because we've got brother-in-law, neighbour, we've got double-page spread in the Saturday Times, but I actually met him 2 years ago. I was coming back down his lane in a place called Shaftesbury, and I hit the biggest jam of traffic you've ever seen. And in fact, most of us got out of our cars to stretch our legs because we were going nowhere. Something had happened up his lane, one-way street, no way going to go anywhere. And I was out having a wander around, and this gentleman came out of his house and we got talking, and I gave him my business card, which he admitted when I went to see him, he lost. So all in all, you could say, wow, it took quite a bit for me to see him. Now, I was determined when I went to see him, there was no way I was going to let this go. This was doable. And I'm going to share with you how. How would it be doable with all this going on? Well, first of all, I knew he wanted to change. He wanted personal customer service. He was absolutely delighted when I said, oh, I'll come and see you. He said, oh, would you really do that? I said, yeah. And believe me, it's about a 40-minute drive each way. Okay. But I know that we exude a kind of energy when we're with somebody in a face-to-face situation. And people know when you're telling the truth, folks. They absolutely do. Okay. So I said to him, wait for the email. Let me know when you get it. And it came. And when it came, I said to him, I'm going to come and see you again, Michael. He said, oh, are you really? I said, yes, because there's something I need to do. I said, I need to contact BT on your behalf, because I know that these people that work behind the scenes at BT do not have customers' interests at heart. They do not have them at heart. All they want is to not let go of a customer. So I went to see him, and they were both there, him and his wife. And I said to them, and this is all compliant, totally allowed. I said, so would you mind if I pretended to be you? I said, I'm going to be the voice. I said, I could be a friend, but I'd like to be you because you're named on the account. She said, yeah. I said, I'm going to say to them that Michael's hard of hearing. And they both laughed their head off and said, yes, he was. So in fact, I wasn't doing anything wrong. And I had their permission. All right, just so you get this, it's compliant because I had their permission. I know how to deal with these people. So I rung up, oh my God, 40 odd minutes, fuffing around. Get somebody, first of all, called Olivia. And Olivia says, oh, I'll have to speak to someone, and goes off for another 20 minutes, comes back on the phone and basically says, no, there isn't an email because this was all done over the phone. It was what they call a telephone contract. Michael chips in because I'm on loudspeaker so he can hear. He said, I don't remember hearing anything about a contract. To which I said, Michael, calm down. It's all right. Listen, let me speak with them. And I said, right, that's fine. I said, would you like to please provide us with a copy of the transcript of the call? Because at this moment, it's your word against ours. And I'm sorry, but I don't believe you. She said, oh, that will take a bit of a while. I said, that's fine. I said, you can call me back, but please call me back because Michael's hard of hearing and that's why I'm doing this. In fact, would you call me back on my mobile number? Now, BT didn't know her mobile number, so I gave mine, my own. Yeah. Anyway, a week later, Michael rings me. He said, would you believe it, Lisa? They've just gone and rung my mobile. I was out with the dog walking, and he said, I played along. He said, I kept going, what? So he said, would you sort it for me? I said, yes, I will, because I have the number. So I rang through, and in fact, if you saw the sheet, it was somebody called Jabed I spoke to, and I got through, and I finally got the right person. It took three moves around. And I said, oh, hello, Jabed. I understand you're in charge of mine and my husband's account because we're leaving you to go to another supplier. And at this moment, you're wanting £620. I said, but you've not been able to prove we're in contract. He said, no, I'm afraid, Mrs. Parker, that because it's more than 12 months, we don't keep the copies of the transcripts of the call. So you're correct. It's your word against ours. So we will relinquish all those fees. So he had £400. Some of it was being used for mobiles. He still had more available because actually what's now happened is no fees. Now, I'm going to warn you, what BT do is they say that they still have to wait for the final bill, which shows it. Can you believe all this rubbish? They still have to wait for the final bill. Then they just phone in and they get another email that says it's all been cancelled. And I have done this on numerous occasions. It's just hard work done on purpose to try and stop them leaving. Well, they've left and everything's working. If I could show you a WhatsApp message from Michael Parker, he is over the moon. And his words are, "You're worth your weight in gold." And he said, "I've got someone else, the other side of me, that wants this, Lisa. Would you go and see him and treat him just like you have me?" That's how you get genuine referrals. Yes, it's a bit of legwork, it's a bit of hard work, but don't you think that Mr. and Mrs. Parker are absolutely over the moon now with what they've got? And I kept saying on my times with them, please try and remember, I know you're in a good position financially, but would you think of anyone else that you possibly would know that could do with some more money? You know, even another £500 coming in every single month is just helping 2 people reduce their bills. And wouldn't they be grateful to you, Michael? And I can promise I'd look after them like I have you. So that's the way you can deal with contracts. I've done it for Virgin. I've done it for loads of companies. With Virgin, you must ask the people not to cancel their Virgin. Really important. You want everything up and running before they cancel. Now, it does mean they overlap on a 30-day period, all right, but it's worth it in the long run. But that's the way you can help somebody with a massive fee. Now, the other thing I wanted to talk about, and we're getting very close, was energy. People often do what I call guesstimates. Guesstimates are estimates. All right, they're not very good because they are exactly what they say. They're a pure guess. In every instance, you want to try and get on a bill the annual kilowatt consumption. That's how many kilowatts they've used in the last 12 months. And then you want the annual projection forecast, which is the cost, what they anticipate those 12 months of kilowatts will be. Now, some have been very naughty, as you've probably just seen. OVO have been fined 8.9 million for not providing either of those 2 figures. Very, very naughty. And I can tell you, I think very shortly we will be seeing E.ON being fined similar, because they got up to a real scam. With the government's £400 spread over 6 months, they included that in their annual forecast. Oh, wow, that made them £400 cheaper straight away. How naughty is that? So, folk, you can have absolute confidence that there's lots of things we could do for folk, all right? But you must get those figures. Now, what happens when you can't? What if they're the most frenetic people? They can't find anything. They don't know where to look. They've forgotten every password out. They've never registered as an account holder online. How can you do that? Well, sadly, with British Gas, they can't ring up. Fact, there is no verbal customer services with British Gas. It's gone. All right, so they can't ring up. With other companies, they can. And this is what you tell them to do. Take a photograph of the front, a clear image of the front of their gas and electricity meters, and then ring up and ask them to recalculate their usage to get the annual kilowatt consumption and what the forecast is. That's the simplest way to get it. Alternatively, you could do a like-for-like estimate. Now, this isn't good, but sometimes you have to do things. So how can you do that? Well, if you took, for example, the medium, the average person in a 3-bed semi, 2 adults, 2 kids, right? And sadly, I know what that is. It's 2,900 kilowatts of electric and it's 12,000 kilowatts of gas. Now, if you did it on that because they haven't got bills, what you can do is you can go to the website of their current supplier and you can bring up quote and put exactly the same in and get what the cost would be with that company. And what you're doing is a like for like on national averages. But you still have to say to them, this isn't your particular consumption, because you could be using far less, in which case it would be far less in payment. You could be using a lot more, in which case it would be far more. That's why accuracy is needed. And when I hear of people constantly saying, oh, well, I just guess, not clever, not good, it will always come back to you, always come back to you. Now, folk, there are many, many other things that I could talk about, but we're 2 minutes over, but I'm going to fit in one more thing. If you come across a customer that is on economy 7 or economy 10. Now, economy 10 was a particular tariff that was, I believe, as far as I know, it was intrinsic to Southern Electric SSE, which has now been taken over by a company called OVO. So economy 10 was basically 3 tariffs. There was day, there was an afternoon, and there was a night. Dawn Files, we saved you hundreds of pounds, didn't we? Hundreds. Yes, £2,000. Yes. Okay. Now, the only reason for anyone still having the need for economy 7 or economy 10 is if they've got working night storage heaters, because night storage heaters are huge things, all right, a sort of a relic from the 70s, okay, full of big concrete blocks that heat up at the night when it's the cheaper rate and then release the heat during the day. If you're on night storage heaters, happy days, really good. But the thing is, very few people are. And what's left over is an economy 7 meter or economy 10 meter. It doesn't matter. This is called happy days, guys. Get ready. This is when you smile and you say to them, I'm going to save you loads of money. Because when you go on the join the club, you put in general domestic, which is standard. In other words, a phase 1, same rate, all the day, all the night. You put that in and you do the calculation, you put in the consumption, and what you'll see is a huge, huge saving. Because in reality, night storage heaters aren't being used. And what happens is those people have been paying through the nose. I'll tell you why it's been more expensive. Because their day rate on economy 7 is much, much higher than our standard rate all the time. And if they weren't using loads of their energy in the night rate when it was cheaper, oh my God, they've been paying through the nose. So how wonderful that we can do this. Now, often there is a one-off administration charge of £15 that they still have to submit either the 2 readings for economy 7 or 3 readings for economy 10. They still have to submit them, but they will be charged the 1 rate. And it's just glorious for these people because they save so much money. Guys, I could talk loads about this stuff, but I've had to fit in an awful lot. But hopefully that stuff's really helpful to people. And yes, I can see some thumbs up. Thank you. And we will do something again next week. So same time, same place, Tuesday, 4:30. Thank you, everybody. Hopefully that was of help. Take care.
Thanks again, Lisa. That was great. Ta.